following broadcast is a production of HCC TV.
Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
I'm disappointed.
And we are
The
Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are coming to you from the Main Street Studios here at HCC TV, and we're here every week to review the latest episode of Game of Thrones. And before we get to the last episode and the worst, spoiler alert, it was not good, of Game of Thrones, let's talk about some other show. Let's talk about this show, The Watchers in the Basement. We appreciate everyone who's watching on YouTube right now or on HCC TV. If you're in the Houston area, check your local listings. We're on several times on the channel. We appreciate everyone on SoundCloud who's listening to us.
Yes.
And we want you to know we have shirts. We have t-shirts. We have the Watchers in the Basement shirt.
To quote your nephew,
Right. We have merch.
We have merch.
Got our sigil here. Got the name of the show here. So if you'd like to win one of these, please follow us on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Just search for the Watchers in the Basement. And if you want to hit us up, we want to hear from you, from whether you're talking about our show or Game of Thrones or Marvel, whatever. Use the hashtag #WatchersBasement to let us know what you think. So guys, we're here today, and one of us isn't here. So
really?
yeah, you might notice we usually have
Yeah.
have
Frank
4
is
people.
missing.
One man down.
Frank's out. He's got the flu, unfortunately. So Frank, we hope you get to feeling better.
Feel better.
Yep.
Yep.
But he's such a soldier.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
such a strong watcher that he, even though he had the flu, he watched this terrible episode and he filmed this segment for us. We're going to bring to you a little bit later on.
Yep.
So anyway, Brittany, let's get to it. Let's get to the recap. Let's talk about season 8, episode 6, The Iron Throne. I wonder what that's about. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Did
this-
one of you get it right, by the way? I know we talked about it in the bonus. Someone said the
actually-
throne. Or we said the Iron
We
Throne.
talked about it.
Someone said it.
yeah.
Like we talked about being like a Game of Thrones or
the throne,
The
or
throne.
the Iron Throne.
yeah, we
We're
were
close.
close.
Pretty spot
We were
on.
close. Yeah.
Pretty spot on. I will say, because I did say Fire and Blood, I have to correct myself, that season 1, episode 10 was actually entitled Fire and Blood. So it wouldn't have made sense for it to
Okay,
be the series
twice.
finale.
We
so.
correct ourselves here.
No,
Yeah.
We're close.
We were close.
We got it. 90%.
This episode did not give 90%,
No.
so let's get into
No.
it, guys. So Tyrion, Jon, and Davos are now walking through the destructed city of King's Landing. Tyrion then decides he's going to go to the Red Keep alone and basically finds, more destruction. Shocking.
Surprise.
But he does find the bodies of his brother and sister underneath the rubble.
I love how Justin's laughing already.
That's so bad.
And George, I think you said this best. Like, had they moved over
5 feet.
5 feet,
10 feet.
they'd still be they'd be alive.
They might be.
They'd be alive.
They might
but,
be.
And they were only under like about a couple of like they weren't under a tremendous amount of rubble.
No,
So
they really
Like you would
weren't.
think they'd be crushed,
Right.
like by
Yeah.
the way it was coming down
Yeah.
on them. It would have been
but
ridiculous.
Jamie
But
and
no.
Cersei were in each other's arms.
You know-
Very, very much dead.
Very
but
much dead. You know, they came into the world together. They died together. They belonged together. You know what? You deserved it. Jamie, I was shipping hard for you and Brienne. Moving on. Meanwhile, Jon and Davos have come across Grey Worm and some captured Lannister soldiers, whom he's just about to execute, and Jon tries to stop him. Bad idea, my friend, because the Unsullied are going to respond with force. Davos, as always, the voice of reason, tells Jon, go speak to the queen. So Queen Daenerys, now the Queen of Ashes in my opinion, and I think you all will agree, comes flying in on Drogon and lands in the ruins of King's Landing. Targaryen flag is hanging on the wall.
That was
in
actually
pure
cool.
destruction. It did
Yeah,
look
that
cool.
looked really
That's a great
cool.
shot.
Yeah, I mean, it looks
It really looked
amazing.
good.
It looks amazing. The story's terrible, but it looks amazing. Go ahead.
Visually with the show, yes, consistently it looks great.
Yeah.
But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as Daenerys is approaching her troops, which by the way, how does she have so many? But we'll talk about that again later.
we talked about last time.
It's crazy.
They just respawn.
They're gremlins.
They're gremlins.
You don't feed them after dark.
She is going to deliver her victory speech to the Unsullied and the Dothraki. And she's telling them, we've liberated King's Landing, but our work does not stop here. We have to liberate the world, and will you help me do this? It's crazy. Tyrion, as Tyrion should do, in my opinion, he publicly announces that Dany slaughtered the whole city. And he resigns his hand of the queen, taking off his hand of the queen pin and tossing it down the stairs. And because of that, now he's taken prisoner by Dany. Arya, who
Pointless, too.
pops out of nowhere. I know, George, you were like, she can fly. Well, she also appears out of nowhere, apparently. Part of her faceless training skills that became very useless this season. Arya tells Jon that he needs to step up, basically. She knows a killer when she sees one.
Because she literally just saw it like right before that she massacred the whole city.
She did.
Everyone who survived saw the killer.
Also, what happened to the horse? What was the point of the horse?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't. No point in that episode did it pop up again.
No.
Right.
There was just so many inconsistent
We'll
things.
get
in
into
this
that.
episode.
We'll get into that a
Ridiculous.
little bit later. But Jon visits Tyrion, who's now imprisoned by the Unsullied, and Tyrion echoes the words of the Night's Watch vow about being the shield that guards the realms of men, and telling Jon that you have to make a choice, and it's a choice between what is right and what is easy, basically, quoting Harry Potter. Jon goes.
Which we always should do.
We should always quote Harry Potter. You guys need to jump on the bandwagon
Still
about
never seen
that.
it.
It's fantastic. The movies are
You know
amazing.
what? After we're done with Game of Thrones, we're gonna do
Dude,
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter.
We're all gonna watch it. You all are gonna enjoy it. I promise. Okay. Going back to Game of Thrones. Jon goes and finds Dany in the throne room where she finally is in front of the Iron Throne and actually touches it. But she never sits on it. She never sits on the Iron Throne. They discuss the, quote, necessary deaths that needed to take place and how to decide what is good and right in the world. And in a very passionate kiss, Jon kills his queen with his dagger, and Dany dies in his arms. Wow.
Best moment of the episode.
I'd agree.
No, for me, it was like her counting. She saying that she couldn't count to 20.
Poor girl. Okay, she didn't have
She
a
said that
formal education.
twice.
She didn't have a formal education. She said that in season 7, something like that.
So what if she would have had 20 dragons? I mean, it would have.
Do I have 1,000?
My question is, how old is she? Is she 20, 21? Does she
Can't
stop
count that
at
high.
20?
She stops at 20. She can't count that high.
Well, after Dany's sudden death, Drogon senses that his mother, is gone, and he arrives and mourns in roaring fashion. And as any mourning child would do, you're going to destroy something, and Drogon destroys and melts the Iron Throne. Awesome visually. He carefully picks up his He carefully picks up his mother's limp body and flies away from King's Landing, presumably to never be seen again. And after a few weeks, and it's kind of hard to tell if it's actually been a few weeks because you just have no sense of time in this show now, Tyrion is brought to the dragon pit in shackles, and he's appearing amongst the high lords and ladies of the realm, and there's no queen or king at this point. Why Tyrion gives this speech about the power of stories and how no one has a better story than Bran should be the new king just baffles me.
You know why I did it? Because that's the way they wrote it.
Well,
And that's the worst scene in the history of the show. It is. It's honestly the worst scene in the
bad.
show. I mean, it could have ended with her dying, and then that's it, and we just never know what happens. I'd rather not know what happens than know what
Yeah.
they decided to do.
I'm
Yeah.
with that.
It's such a bad scene.
Yeah.
It's so silly to have all these characters. I mean, and also the reason why Tyrion's one saying it, he's the only character who can put words together that makes sense.
That's true.
I mean, even he can spin the garbage and make it sound decent, even though it's stupid.
Chicken salad, right?
Yeah, he can make chicken salad out of other stuff. Yeah,
Out of other stuff,
so
exactly.
yeah.
So at that point, it's decided that future rulers should be chosen by a vote as opposed to a birthright
We'll vote amongst them.
amongst the noble
Right.
lords and
Because
ladies.
Sam tried to input democracy.
He
and
did. He
they
did.
just laughed at
and
him.
they laughed at him. Poor Sam. Can't catch a break. But Sansa declares that the North will be an independent kingdom once again. All hail Bran the Broken, king of the 6 kingdoms. Jon is still a prisoner of the Unsullied. He learns that he's going to be sent back to the Night's Watch. Why is there a Night's Watch? Don't know, but it's just what it is. But this is in lieu of execution. So Jon bids farewell to his siblings, and he makes his way to Castle Black. Grey Worm and the Unsullied are preparing for their voyage to the Isle of Noth. R.I.P. Missandei. Tyrion prepares for his first small council meeting with Grand Maester Samwell Tarly.
Second worst scene in the history of the show. Good. Sorry.
That one was really bad.
It's really bad.
It's
It was
bad.
really bad.
Really bad.
So we have Grand Maester Samwell Tarly, Sir Davos Seaworth, the Master of Ships, appropriate. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater as Master of Coin, inappropriate. And Sir Brienne of Tarth, Lord Commander of the King's Guard. Now, I'm totally okay with this because Sir Brienne is writing in the Book of Brothers of all the achievements of the late Sir Jaime Lannister, which I thought was a very, very well done ending. Probably one of my favorite moments in this whole entire episode.
Good scene. But had they not ruined it, the episode before by having him
Do
die in Cersei's arms, like
Yeah.
Awesome.
had he tried to kill her,
Yeah.
it would have been perfect. It would have been perfect ending for Brienne and for him, for his character, for those characters. But they.
Did any of you think like the ink
missed
was gonna like smudge when she closed the book?
Oh,
I was
totally
like, what
did.
are you doing?
I know. It's like what are you?
I was
and then-
freaking out. I almost cringed. I was like, no. It was terrible.
What was that meme that's going around with
Oh, like, yeah.
hilarious Sand, like, oh, as like
Yeah.
Oberyn is being killed, it's like when the ink's not dried.
Yeah.
Anyway, but King Brand drops by the small council and asks the whereabouts of Drogon, and then inadvertently just leaves. I'll go look for him. He leaves the council to their duties and talking about ships
Nothing.
and brothels and just nonsense, in my opinion. In the very end of this episode, the Starks have all gone their separate ways. Arya is on a Stark ship sailing west to Westeros. Sansa has now been crowned the king in the, the queen in the north. I'm so used to saying king in the north, but
Yeah.
it's queen in the north. Big moment for Sansa in the north. And Jon Snow returns to Castle Black, where he is reunited with Tormund, the Free Folk, and Ghost.
Hanging with the homies.
Hanging with the homies. Jon and the Free Folk go beyond the wall without any fear of an enemy, but with a dream of spring. End scene.
That was the fastest recap we've ever
Yeah,
done.
it
Because
was.
It kind of
was
deserved it.
So bad.
It
Yeah.
kind of deserved
So
it.
bad.
I'm
Yeah,
glad we
it
ran
really
through
was.
that.
Yeah. But there's a couple of things I do want to talk about with some of this episode. Post King's Landing siege. Is there literally no one left in King's Landing?
Oh, she killed them all.
She literally killed them all.
Except for those 4 Lannister soldiers who were like on their knees, like those are the 4 survivors, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But seriously, there's supposed to be 1 million people, right?
Yeah, did
So,
she literally
Did they all disappear?
kill a million
or-
people, or did they leave, or?
I would have been, yeah, I'm out. Like, as soon as I saw that happen, no, you know what? I don't
Exactly.
want to live here anymore.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. And then we talked about this. Daenerys is, she gives this order to Grey Worm about kill all those who serve Cersei Lannister. Why is that necessary at this point? Cersei's dead.
Yeah.
Why didn't she do what she did to the Lannister soldiers in Spoils of War with the loot train? She made them bend the knee out of fear.
Yeah.
Like, why?
They just threw it out the window. That I agree. That's
Yeah,
super
that just
pointless.
made no sense to me. And
They have to
Because
make
they-
her look like a even worse person now. Like, she doesn't care. She snapped, so they have to make it look bad.
But the
like,
thing is, like, when we see her go from being Dany, who, okay, we've now won the last, the Great War. Now we're gonna,
The last
win
war.
the last war, and then she goes mad, and then in the course of an episode, you see her just. You don't have time to process like the emotions or
Yeah.
her thought process because you don't see it. You just
It's too
you kind of
fast.
have to accept it, and
Yeah.
I don't accept it. It makes no sense whatsoever. And the same goes with Grey Worm. Now he's Frank has said it last episode. Grey Worm's working on rage. Like he's working
Yeah.
through his rage, and he's not being sensible either. It's crazy.
But in the end, he follows the orders of the prisoner. Because that makes sense.
that one
That made
didn't
no
make
sense
sense to me.
either.
Like, why does Tyrion get a chance to speak? Like, he's a prisoner.
Yeah.
Like, Grey Worm, like, why would you, if you're that mad and you have that much rage, like, why would you let him, like,
Right.
do that?
Exactly.
Why didn't he just kill him?
And same thing goes for Jon, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would he just let Jon go? Be like, really? Because
Mm-hmm.
do y'all think that Jon actually admitted that he killed her?
Probably.
Right?
I assume
Is
he
that
did,
assumed?
but we didn't get to see it.
We didn't get to see it.
We didn't get to see him being arrested or confessing or having to fight
I mean, they're
off
never
people
going to find the body.
No.
Right.
So-
You're right.
Right.
It's just something that was pointless to me. Like, Jon could have been like, oh, I don't know, she left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, did he just walk away and like she missed a few meetings and like, hey, what's going on? And, like, she's
Exactly.
not answering her email either. What's going
What do
on
we
with
do?
Dany here? Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know. That's just one thing that I thought was like,
Yeah, it's
if
kinda
he was
pointless.
really like powered by rage, he would have killed Tyrion. Like, or Dany would have killed Tyrion because she said, "If you betray me one more time, you're gonna die."
Yeah.
What did
Right.
he do? He did, and he
How many
didn't
one
die.
more times are there?
You're gonna be a prisoner. It's
Right.
okay.
I mean, and then to your point, why didn't she kill Tyrion on the spot
Yeah.
like she did Varys?
Yes, that I agree. Like,
What was
that's-
the point of keeping him as a prisoner? Because Tyrion said to Jon in his imprisonment room, as I'm going to call it, you know, she doesn't keep prisoners for very long. So what's the point?
Well, she kept him for a couple months, I'm guessing, because we don't know how
Yeah, it's
long
hard
that
to
went.
say the time
See, I want to say based on the fact, I still maintain that the city is covered in ash. I don't think it's snow because it just doesn't make any sense to me. It wasn't snowing when they got there. It wasn't snowing after. And then like weeks go by when we see Tyrion's trial and it's like sunny and beautiful and that kind of thing. Like, no.
No, the ash makes sense.
I think it's
But
ash.
when
I
you're
agree, but it's
watching
a-
it, it also looks like snow.
It does.
Yeah, it
There are
does.
times where
It's
it looks
a
like
lot.
snow. It
No, no,
does.
you're right in
Yeah.
saying that, but I think the whole city is in ash because when Daenerys is approaching the Unsullied and
Yeah.
Dothraki, you know, this open space, you still see fires burning
Yeah.
and smoke
No,
still.
I agree.
so-
But then, like when I saw the scene with the dragon, Drogon's covered, like, and what looks to be like snow, but like it could be ash, but
Yeah.
like
And
that
wasn't he
much.
just like during
On
her
the wall?
speech? Wasn't he like
Yeah.
standing
yeah,
like?
he was. He was.
Fell asleep for
I
like
mean,
5 hours.
does he just bury
Just
himself
took-
in
he took a
ash
little
or
nap.
something?
He took
or
a little
like-
nap,
Right.
like a 10-day nap, because that was ridiculous.
But that was. I will say though, because we already talked a little bit of how Tyrion discovered his siblings. That first of all, there was so much of the Red Keep still intact that Tyrion could get through like this rubble, and
That was another
the
thing.
structure was still like I just said, so much intact that he was able to walk through okay. And then
Yeah.
you made the comment about had Jaime and Cersei been 10 feet over, they could probably still be alive. The other thing is, how are Jaime and Cersei so high up on that rubble for
Right.
him to discover?
Exactly.
And conviconviently, the
Yeah,
golden
no,
hand is just so
I don't
placed.
buy it. It's just lazy writing. Like, and then when you saw I saw the side by side scenes. I compared it to y'all, and you see everything just crumbling. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
from
that
episode
scene,
5,
Yes.
right.
yeah, in that
Yes.
scene, like there's no way they could have avoided it. But then you have another scene where Tyrion's walking through everything.
There's
He's
still
just
something over his head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's magically
That
walking through all
that
of it.
archway
That,
is still kind of intact.
that bugged me.
It's crazy. And then the fact that when he's removing the rubble to show their faces,
He only takes like 2-3 bricks and
Not just-
oh my god, they're there.
not just that, but their faces are still intact. They're
Yeah.
not bloody. They're not crushed
they
in.
crushed.
I mean,
Whatever.
I'm so.
I'm glad the show's over.
Well, we still have some things to go through before we can officially say.
I mean, I think finding the hand was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because-
If
No,
that's
if that's
appropriate.
all
So-
that he would have found,
I
I would have
agree.
been cool with that.
I agree with that. I
Like,
totally
oh
agree with
man,
that.
Yeah.
well, his hand's there. Oh, okay. That's all right. He
Right.
doesn't have to pull.
We were so bummed out by the episode 5 that we read spoilers for episode 6.
Yeah.
And that's how,
Everything
and I've never
was-
done that before, but we did
I
this
didn't
time.
either. I usually hate spoilers.
And the truth shall set you free.
And it said that they found the hand, and I was like, well, that sounds kind of cool. I didn't realize that he
Appropriate.
found the
The whole
body.
body,
So when
yeah.
I watched the episode, I saw that, I was like, oh, this is even worse. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of hilarious. Like, so I found about the spoilers a while back, and I told Justin, I was like, do you want to know? And then he's like, yeah, I don't care about the show anymore. And then I told everybody, and Brittany was the last.
I was the last one.
Brittany
to
was the
know.
last one. I was
refused.
like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. I was like, all the guys know, so like, I might as well just tell you.
I jumped on the bandwagon of Game of Thrones because of y'all. Might as well. Might as well go out.
But
with
it
y'all
was
too.
crazy how it was 100% right.
It
Everything that I
was.
read
It
was
absolutely
100%
was.
right.
Yep.
It absolutely was.
Yep. Unfortunately, it was.
Yeah, unfortunately it was. We're hoping this is not true. We're hoping it doesn't happen. And as soon as I saw Tyrion walking through with Davos and Jon, I was like, oh no.
First 2 minutes. The first 2 minutes of this episode.
confirmed it.
It confirmed it for me, and I thought to myself, explicit.
Yeah.
This is real. This is I can't say it here, but yes. So moving away from the Tyrion discovering his siblings, Dany and her, what I like to call her Mussolini speech. It was very fascist, very, oh, we've done so much good now. Let's liberate the world, and to the Dothraki. And I do appreciate the fact that she spoke Dothraki because we haven't really heard her speak it in a
Yeah.
long time. But
And soon everyone will because there's so many of them.
that or
That is
Valerian.
so-
That or Valerian because of the
Right.
Unsullied.
Oh
But
my
with her speaking to the Dothraki about you fulfilled your promises. You defeated my enemies in iron suits and destroyed their stone homes. But basically there's more. And she echoes the same thing basically to the Unsullied. You were once slaves, now you are liberators.
Right.
You won't put your spears down until we've liberated the world. And it just it hurt me to see this come out of her. I mean, we all I think agree that her character arc was kind of coming down to this point, right?
Eventually.
But the fact that it happened so quickly and you didn't have that time to process and then see how and why she really got there. Was it just because Missandei was murdered in front of her eyes, or because Rhaegal was murdered in front of her eyes? You know what I mean? Like, it just
Yeah.
didn't make enough sense to
For
me.
her to be the final bad guy of this show, you needed more
Yes.
to make that turn feel satisfying. And we just didn't get that. It was just like
No.
within 2 episodes, she goes from helping them survive,
Yeah.
The long night.
the Night
yeah.
Walker, or the
Night
Night
King.
King and everything,
Right.
and then she's killing him 2
Yeah.
episodes later.
Well,
so it just
but in her mind, this is breaking the wheel.
Right.
Will you break the wheel with me? She says to the Unsullied. The one great part of the sequence that I really agreed, and you do too, is when she dismounts from Drogon. She's walking towards the
that's
crowd, and you see
The
the,
wings.
The wings.
dragon
that
wings.
was really cool.
really cool
That
shot.
really
yeah.
embodied the fact
Great
that
shot.
she is the
The dragon.
dragon. She has completely embodied what it means to be a Targaryen, fire and blood. Dragon cannot, be killed by fire, basically, that kind of
Right.
thing. That sequence is just so amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Even though, and I think I told you this too, Justin, about Danny's speech kind of reminded me of Dwight from The Office when
Oh, yeah.
he's giving
Yeah.
his speech and just,
Yeah.
The pounding.
Way better episode. Watch The Office.
Watch
it's
The Office.
amazing.
It's great.
Great show.
It's a great show. And John is approaching, or he's already approached the stairs at this point, and Grey Worm came from nowhere.
I need to talk about this because this is another ridiculous thing. So we see John interact with Grey Worm and Davos and everything when they're with the Lannister soldiers, right? So he's like, talk to the queen. All right. So they walk on, talk to the queen, right? They're on their way. How does Grey Worm get there before them? And
But he still had time to stick the
yeah,
throats.
of 4 people because there was still
right.
more there. So that was just, come on.
Yeah.
That
They
was
can all
point-
teleport.
That was a pointless scene.
They literally all could
That
teleport.
was literally a pointless scene.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
no reason for them to interact like that.
No.
It made no sense
It
because
made
then
no
he was
sense.
still there by the time they got there. So
It was like we have to
Just a
fill.
little rant.
We have 2 minutes to fill.
yeah,
We have these
What do we
actors
do?
contracted for today. What can we do? Yep.
Yeah.
So Daenerys has concluded her speech, and we see Tyrion kind of walk up from behind her. And I literally thought at that point, oh my God, he's
Right.
actually going to kill her at this
I was
point.
hoping.
I was hoping for that too.
he's gonna have to jump and do it.
Hey. But still, I thought he was going to do it. But no, he stands by her side, looking out to the troops, and she says to him, you freed your brother, you committed treason, and he says what he says.
But I'm not gonna kill you.
Right, but I'm not going to kill you. But he looks to her and says, I freed my brother, but you slaughtered his city. And that's when he resigns as queen. And she looks at him like, how dare you? How dare you? The other person that kind of popped out of nowhere after this scene was
That was
Arya.
funny. That was funny.
Arya
that
lit-
reminded me of The Office too.
That
when-
did too,
when
with Dwight and Angela.
Yeah, when they're
he's
at the
like,
arcade.
"What?" And Arya tells Jon, I came here to kill Cersei. Your queen got to her first, and
Not true though.
Not true.
You were actually there.
You were there
You were
closer.
there.
You were there, and then you turned back when
'Cause you listened
Sandor,
to the
your
hound.
buddy Sandor, said, you don't want to be like me. You've just traveled this way, and you've killed these
Right.
people, taken all these faceless whatever. Now, don't do it. She's like, okay, cool, I'll leave.
Right. But
Where's my white horse? Like, that made no sense.
yeah, exactly. Where did the white horse go? What was that supposed to symbolize? Is it supposed to be like from the Book of Revelations, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? Like, was
It meant
Arya
nothing.
supposed to be death? And if she was supposed to be death, did that mean she was going to go kill Dany?
she
And then all of that just went kaput. But I do want to point out at one point, Jon tells Arya, meet me outside the gates.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to come find you. He was willing to leave with Arya.
I didn't even think about that. That was never.
Talked about.
They never followed up on
No,
that.
Yeah.
no.
That's a good. I remember him saying that, but I don't. because it went nowhere. It
Yeah.
was just like,
No, you're right. But the very fact that he, throughout this whole season, has been saying to Danny and to other people, she's the queen, she's my queen now and always. But he was willing to abandon Daenerys for his family.
Yeah.
that would have been better.
Why
too.
didn't she do it, bro?
That would have been better. Like, and then she chases him or something. Like, that would have been a better story than
Yeah.
what we got.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
who
But
cares about who the next king is?
yeah.
The show's
Yeah.
over. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was pretty significant that despite being honorable John, very
Yeah.
much like Ned and all this stuff, he was willing to leave.
Yeah.
There's something about his family that kind of triggers him to make him think this is the right thing to
So
do.
you're saying he was willing to leave after he killed her?
No. Before he even approaches Danny,
Yeah.
he tells Arya, because they're standing there in that
Yeah.
archway, he says, meet me at the
Yeah.
gates, I'll
That's,
come find you. He was willing to leave because he saw the destruction on her face. You know, she was injured, she had been
But I figured he
bleeding.
knew what he had to do, and then like.
Maybe
like,
so.
okay. But I don't think John's that type of person. Like that's why he turned himself in, or they caught him, or whatever.
Well, it's that sense of duty.
Because honestly, if that would have happened,
Mm-hmm.
like say, okay, John does it, whatever, he tries to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Grey Worm would hunt him until
Yeah, no,
he
you're
found
right.
him.
Yeah, you're right.
Better
But-
story. Better story.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the only reason I thought about that scene where you said, "I'll meet you outside." So I don't know.
No, and it's very possible he would have fulfilled his duty of maybe killing her because
Yeah.
you have to think about it. Why was John brought back? If he served a greater purpose, was it to kill Daenerys or
That's a dumb purpose. Oh man.
well, but you think about Beric. Beric's purpose ultimately
was to save Arya. But
he saved Arya so she could go kill
Yeah.
the Night King, and his purpose was
Yeah, yeah,
fulfilled. So with John being brought back to life, maybe it
Yeah,
was
but at
so.
least he died. He
Well,
died for that.
Well, okay, but John was brought back.
That's the purpose.
To potentially kill Daenerys, so that the realm wasn't going to suffer her.
Yeah.
her
So
reign.
that Bran gets to be king. It's all about him.
Oh yeah, we're
He's-
going to get there.
He's the king, but
we're
he's
gonna get there.
is he the villain? I mean, ultimately, isn't he the biggest villain of the show?
He is.
I mean, if everything happens so that he
He
can
let
become
it happen.
king,
Mm-hmm.
lots of bad stuff happened. You know?
Definitely.
So
That's true. Well, there's a conversation that John and Tyrion have, and I thought it was pretty important just to illustrate about how Tyrion has been with Dany the longest at this point. You know, he's seen what she's done in the East, how she's liberated people, and how she's gotten back to Westeros, of course. But Tyrion says, you know, I betrayed my queen, and I was a little confused if maybe he meant Cersei as opposed to Dany. I thought he meant he was more loyal to Cersei than Dany, but he said, I betrayed my queen, and I would do it again. So he's got no issues with that, but John can't justify Dany's actions as to where she or why she's done what she's done. He's saying, you know, the war is over, and Tyrion says, did it sound like she, you know, wants the war to be over?
well, because she literally says Winterfell.
She does
Yeah.
say
I mean, it's in
Winterfell.
Dothraki, right? But or Valyrian or
Then,
Valyrian.
then you see that cutaway to John's face. It's like,
yeah,
wait
it's-
a minute.
it's like he
Yeah, but John
understood
doesn't
that.
understand it.
Nah, he heard that because
He
I
did.
understood it.
He perked up
Because he heard Dorne. Dorne was like said
Winterfell
perfectly.
to Dorne,
Yeah.
Lannister Port to Karth.
You could pick that up. You were like,
Maybe so.
wait a minute.
Maybe so.
It sounds like Winterfell was next.
Yeah.
Once they
Yeah.
kind of gathered
And
the troops.
Sansa did ask
Definitely.
Daenerys, you know, after you take King's Landing, what happens to the north? And
Yeah.
and Daenerys kind of recoiled her hand
Mm-hmm.
as if, well, you know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, John can't justify Dany's actions, and there's this kind of quote about house words and how they define people, and John tells Tyrion, he says, well, Daenerys is no more her father than you are Tywin, and Tyrion says Tywin was an evil man, Cersei was an evil woman, but together, the amount of deaths that they had
Yeah.
don't compare to Dany's.
Yeah.
And basically, Tyrion is saying it's our fault that, you know, we supported Daenerys in her efforts. We allowed her to become this powerful, and she thinks she's right because we've been cheering her on. And okay, sense of accountability, cool. I can jump on the bandwagon with that. But the fact that Daenerys wants to rid the world of evil to create this better world, and Tyrion, you know, is not with it, right? But he does confess his love for Dany, and I don't remember if I said it here on the show or if we said it off screen, but I said it at the end of season 6 when Daenerys and Jon are hooking up in
Season 7. Yeah.
seven, sorry,
Yeah.
and 7?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
7. Sorry,
7.
I'm getting confused. But Tyrion's listening.
Yeah,
you
season
know.
6 was a good season.
Oh, that's right. You're right. but Tyrion is listening. I guess what's
Yeah,
going on, and I'm
creeping.
like, oh, he loves her. He loves her. That's why this is like painful for him.
But
Yeah.
see, even that never went anywhere this season.
It
That-
did
that
not.
storyline.
It did
at
not.
all.
I
It
mean,
did
that's
not.
why when he said that in the last episode, I was unclear of was it like when you say you love somebody, is it like romantic love or is it just like respectful kind of love?
Well, he said, I love her too, not as successfully
Successfully.
as,
Yeah.
as you, John, but
so you're right. Like
he's in love with her. Let's put it that way.
he
He's in love
is,
with her.
but they didn't pay off that or they didn't
No.
deliver that story. It went nowhere. Basically.
No, not really.
No, but the fact that the word love is acknowledged, John quotes Maester Aemon from so long ago about love is the death of duty.
Right.
And on that note, Tyrion basically tells John, you have to choose. You have to choose what's right because what you do actually does matter as, without saying it, as rightful heir to the Iron Throne. And Tyrion again talks about Jon's sisters. There's something about family that triggers Jon because and George, you pointed this out about how Sansa isn't going to want Daenerys to be queen,
Yeah.
and Jon says she doesn't get to choose.
Yeah. But then as soon as it happens in the scene, if you go later on to the scene where John and them are talking, and then she says the same thing. She's like, they don't get to choose. And John's like, oh, okay, guess I got to kill you now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of weird how that kind of echoed and it backfired in a way.
Terrible writing.
Terrible writing. But love is the death of duty. Obviously foreshadows Jon killing
Yes.
Daenerys. Drogon. Drogon, sweet Drogon.
Oh, yeah.
Should have known better.
Yeah.
Should have known better to let Jon walk through those doors. But he trusts Jon. Obviously, he's like, oh, you're a Targaryen. I know you. And in the throne room, Daenerys' vision pretty much has come into fruition of the destruction, the ashes. She approaches the Iron Throne. She actually does get to touch it, and you called it.
I called it.
She
was
got
gonna
it
touch it
for like a second.
and then
Yeah.
turn around, John kills her.
Right, basically that. And she goes on and tells a story about Viserys. Why she's telling the story about her brother baffles me because he was
Basically,
crazy.
Yeah.
Just a callback. I mean, he did help her. I mean, he
I don't know,
treated her
he's-
terribly, but he also like helped her get the Dothraki.
Yeah.
Well, he sold her into
Well, Okay.
to the Dothraki. I
It's
mean,
still
it's not helping.
He helped out. I mean, he got the ball rolling.
Yeah. He contributed to this.
He created this monster. He was the first one to give her that little push.
Yeah.
Little nudge.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with
Yeah.
that. My question is though, if Daenerys, okay, first of all, how does Jon know where to go in the Red Keep? He's literally never been to the Red Keep before. He's been to King's Landing, yes, but he's never been to the Red
Yeah.
Keep. How did he know where to find
You
her?
know when you're in the mall and there's those like you are here kind of like those little.
That's
The
that's
directory
Survive the Fire,
maps?
right?
There's a few of those in the Red Keep from what I've read.
But they didn't burn down?
No, just like the throne, just like the structure that fell on top of
Oh, okay.
Jamie and Cersei.
It stayed safe.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it was 10 feet to the left versus.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly.
That's
So
what
there's
it was.
maps all
Yeah,
around. That's how I
there's
found
lots
it.
of maps.
That's
Okay.
right. You are
Yeah.
here.
You are
That's- I
here.
like that. That's
Yeah.
good. That makes sense.
The Iron Throne is right here.
There's a gift shop next to it anyway. Like,
Oh my
you
God,
can't
we're gonna
miss it.
talk about
you,
this
You
for a
can't
while.
miss it. Hot Pie's got a bakery set up.
Oh, man.
Hot
I hope
Pie.
he's okay.
I hope
hope
he's
he's- I
alive
hope he's
too. I
okay.
really do hope.
I
Because I know
mean,
you're
I'm
rooting for him
kind
to
of,
be king.
yeah, I'm kind of bummed that they. There's
No
a well,
mention.
there's a lot of characters that they did not like.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So
But that should be the first sequel series. Is Hot Pie's Adventures franchising out his bakery.
Finds Arya.
that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
He
But-
finds Arya.
But
He
Jon,
goes with her. He's the personal chef.
oh my God. But Jon and Daenerys in the throne room, and they're talking, and he's talking about how all these little children were burned and what have you. She said it was necessary. He's really starting to see that she's crazy. My question is, if she felt that Jon was a real threat, because one, he's the true heir to the
Yep.
Iron Throne, why did she allow him to get so close to her without any protection whatsoever?
Because-
She's still in love with him.
She loves him,
Like she loves him. Yeah.
and they have so much chemistry. Those two characters, because they have this well-produced story. No, it's. She literally said the episode before, right? Let it be fear. He rejects
My
her.
favorite quote from her of all time.
I've heard you
That's
say
true,
that a few
Justin.
times.
I've said it to you too.
That's true though.
Yeah.
Like he literally, like she
Yeah.
pushes away. She's like, fine.
Yeah. But it's like she
And
forgot
then-
about that. It's like after a big speech.
I forgot about it,
Yeah.
so I can see she forgot too.
Well,
After-
that's like which one is it? Is it Benioff that they do all those memes?
Yeah,
like
those
we
memes
kind
were
of
like-
forgot.
Yeah.
We kinda
But he always
forgot.
says like, well, Danny kind of forgot that they were like in the ocean below her. They had
Yeah.
scorpions that were going to kill her dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny forgot she was riding a dragon.
She
The other one
forgot.
didn't have a rider.
But John tells her, you're my queen now and always. Stab. And R.I.P. Danny. R.I.P. I was rooting for her. I was hoping she wasn't going to be like her father, but you know what? It is what it is. Drogon comes in, like I said, sweet, sweet Drogon, and he starts nudging at Danny's.
Remind me of the Lion King.
Oh my God! I was like, this is Simba Mufasa all over again. It's like, we gotta go home. We gotta go. And then Drogon, I was a little surprised that he didn't try to kill Jon. But I look at it in hindsight, and the real enemy at this point is the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
It's not. It has never been one person. It's always been the Iron Throne because that's what Danny has been wanting since.
So are dragons that smart then?
They're very,
Yeah, they're
very
intelligent.
intelligent.
Okay.
Very, very intelligent.
I heard one of them is writing the prequel series, so we're in good hands. Good hands, Drogon.
my God.
Don't let us down. You got a lot of pressure on you, bud. You can do it. I believe in you.
Oh my god.
I hate you so much. But Drogon does, he will pick up Danny and fly away, presumably to Volantis. I think Samwell was saying that in the small council before Bronn cut him off about, the farther the better. But I think that's probably where they're headed to, Volantis.
Yeah.
And there was a
Atlantis
meme.
or like Valyria?
Well, Volantis
And Valyria?
or I don't know the east map of that, but there was that meme that we saw about Kinvara, who we only saw that
like
one
bring
episode,
back.
Yeah.
Get your hair clippers.
and start chanting. So the idea that maybe
She'll bring Danny back to life.
Exactly.
Just how Melisandre brought Jon back to life
Yeah.
in seasons.
and Thoros had brought back Beric
Exactly.
to life. So
Yeah.
who knows? We'll probably never know. But
I don't want to know.
I mean, that's honestly a better story. If they do something down the road, 5 years or something, they end up doing a movie or
That makes
whatever.
sense.
If they can get these people to come back to the show,
You still want her to be alive?
only to have another character to be a bad guy or whatever. I mean, at least she could be the bad guy the entire movie and not just a bad guy for 30 minutes or whatever.
that makes sense. That does make sense. In the Dragon Pit, and you brought this up, why didn't we see the fact that Jon confessed? If he did confess, there's no body. Like, no
Seems
one
like a
knew.
Big scene that we just
It would need to be a big
skipped
scene.
over.
Well, hey, Daenerys just went out for some groceries real quick. She'll be back. And then he could have just walked and left.
Exactly.
It's like, what
Oh,
about the
I-
blood here? Paper cut, probably.
I said I cut myself on accident.
Yeah.
Well, she sat on the Iron Throne, and then she was kind of like
that
let
would
out.
have been good.
If she,
That one's good.
well, and more
Their
reason why
swords.
Drogon, would have destroyed the Iron Throne is because of the
Yeah.
fact that.
That poked my mom.
God,
Damn throne.
burn. But in the Dragon Pit, Jon is not present, and that's a little bit of a hard moment for Sansa. She threatens Grey Worm with the Northern forces. He threatens her back with the Unsullied forces. This is our city now. Really? Like, you have no queen. How is it your city? Okay. But we have some unknown not Northern lords, but just lords in general.
Yeah.
I'm assuming these are the people that maybe Varys reached out to when he was writing the letters about,
Yeah, for sure.
about
Sure.
Jon. Sure, we'll go with that.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. One of those lords, however, is young Robin Arryn.
He grew up.
That breast milk
He grew up.
did him some good.
Yeah. He grew up.
There's something about milk in this show, like
Tormund.
milk of the poppy, the giant's milk.
Milk is just straight up good for you. Okay, just drink milk. Chocolate milk, 2%. I like skim milk, but I like all of it. Honestly,
like chocolate
whole
milk.
milk is good.
I like chocolate milk.
It's just good stuff. Almond milk, maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, Robin has grown up, and we've already discussed this about how Tyrion gives his speech. I don't understand why, because he's a prisoner. But no one
He's
has
the
a better
best talker.
Well, yeah, no one has
Straight
a
up.
better story than Bran, which is crap in my opinion.
For
But
25 other characters.
exactly,
Yeah.
and Tyrion asks Bran, will you ascend to the throne and what have you? And Bran makes this really stupid comment of, "Why do you think I came all this way?" So you knew. Let's just call it what it is. You freaking knew. You let all this stuff happen so that you could get the Iron Throne.
They should have killed him right there.
Shame. Where's my bell? Shame.
Did no one think about that? Like, wait, how did you know?
Right.
Like,
But here's my question: can he be killed? Like, is he a person? Is he like?
he's a computer server.
Yeah, I mean, like, is it gonna be King Bran
We
forever?
need to get a virus.
A virus, yeah.
A virus, yeah.
Great, grayscale.
Yeah.
That might do it. Yes, but like you said before, Sam first did offer a democracy. You know, everyone should
That
choose.
worked out great.
Yeah.
That, you know,
Can we
we're gonna
let
get the
the horses
horses
go?
in on it. We're gonna get the dogs. We're gonna
Oh
get,
my
you know, all these
gosh.
people. And as reward, I guess, Tyrion is now hand to Bran the Broken. And he will spend a lifetime fixing all
And
his
cool,
mistakes.
Grey Worm, let him do that. Like, that was a really ridiculous point too. Let him fix all his mistakes. No, that's not what your
No, that's not
leader
what
would
we're
have
here
wanted.
for. Nope.
She wouldn't want you like to
Nope.
kill him.
But she did want to break the wheel, and Tyrion makes sure to tell Grey Worm that this is the broken wheel that, you know, we're working towards.
Well, they got a broken brand, so
And then
And he's
Sansa.
all wills too, right? Like that's the thing. So that's not my original joke, but that's that's true. Speaking of wills, we need to keep rolling here.
We
So
do
let's
need
go to the next.
But Sansa claims her independence. She says we're gonna be an independent kingdom, as you know, what once was.
Because, you know, her brother now is the king, so it's now like she can do whatever she wants.
Exactly.
You know, like,
Exactly.
come on. Like, I can't wait till David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are on some kind of show, a podcast. Come on our podcast. We'd love to have you on here.
Come on the show.
We have questions
We have a
for
lot
y'all.
of questions.
Why
A
did
lot.
you do this? You had a perfect show. Like, 70 of the 73 episodes were perfect. Your
Yes.
last two were terrible. One of the ones last year, the Beyond the Wall, was
Bad
dumb.
plan.
There was cool stuff in the episode,
Bad
but
plan.
like, I need to know why they decided all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I need to know this. So come on our show. We'll be happy to have you.
We'll be
You can-
nice.
You can
Maybe.
Skype in like Frank is going to do.
Yeah,
here
Frank-
in a little while.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, so just hit us
Yeah.
up.
Hit us up.
Hashtag Watchers Basement on social media.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
You know where there is no social media is John's imprisonment cell. He's learning that he's going to go back to the Night's Watch. This made no sense to me. What was the point of having him be Aegon Targaryen if he was not going to ascend to the throne or even have the opportunity to abdicate it?
Right.
It made no sense to me, again, why he wasn't brought to the gathering, for him to say, you know what, you all should know,
Yeah.
or even the lords to say, hey, where's John? He's actually the real heir. John doesn't want it. He should have said it and been like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the Night's Watch, but before I do that, we're all going to be our own independent kingdoms.
Right.
That would have made a lot more sense to me. I would have been okay with that ending.
So when we're talking about that, like, so Sansa becomes her own. The North becomes her own kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why didn't Yara like plead for hers? Like, we can do that? Like, wow.
She did that with Daenerys
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Because
But-
she did bring
but not
that up.
anymore.
Yeah.
I guess she stayed silent. She's like, well, okay.
Yeah, why not? So
I don't know. I thought that
That
was
made no
pointless too.
sense to
It would have made sense, like you said, if they all would have been independent. Everyone's just like, that's it.
yep, no, it really would have. And he at least that loose end would have been tied.
Right.
The whole reveal of him being a Targaryen would have made sense, and then, you know, he abdicated, he's going back to the Night's Watch, we're done. You know, that's fine.
Did you guys catch the water bottle?
You showed
No,
me.
you showed
Yeah.
us afterwards. No, I didn't catch it during the show.
Again, great
Guys,
job.
you guys.
The
do you-
last
do you-
season, the last episode,
season.
you missed that one.
How many mistakes did y'all make?
Wow.
We need to do that in a bonus basement talk. But
Oof,
anyway,
okay.
John, like I said, is going back to the Night's Watch. What's the point of having the Night's Watch at this? Like,
I didn't even know there was a Night's Watch because those two guys still work for them apparently.
He doesn't really stay with them because he rides off with the free folk
Yeah.
Yep.
anyway. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
again, pointless.
yeah.
Terrible
but,
writing.
But John still is having trouble with, did I do the right thing? And Tyrion says, you know what? Ask me in 10 years, and you know we'll come back to it. In 10 years, we'll probably actually get an answer. Who actually knows? But in the King's Landing docks, the Starks are saying their goodbyes. We do see the Unsullied leave to go to the Isle of Noth. I want to know, where are the Dothraki going? Are they going with the Unsullied? Are they staying in Westeros?
That's-
Do they speak the common tongue?
they're gonna repopulate the world.
Oh God.
And they're just like hanging out. Like they walk, like John walks right by these guys, and like
Yeah.
no one says like,
Those
Suck.
"Hey, that's the guy that killed our queen."
Yeah, they ride or die, man. Like they're hardcore. Like you
Yeah.
really think they're gonna let that slide?
Those guys are like shopping like at the market. They're just like looking around, like, what do they have on sale here today?
And it's like, yeah. So what are you gonna do now that we don't have a queen? You know.
And again, what they were doing before when like Daenerys met them, they're like raping and pillaging like all these like innocent towns and all that.
Yeah.
Like they just left them in Westeros and like good luck, go
Right.
for it.
Well, they're like these stone houses are actually kind of nice. The ones that she didn't like knock down
Yeah.
with dragon
I'll take
fire.
it for myself. This is your house, no? Goodbye. No, I don't know. That's a good question though, because like they have no reason to really go with them. Like they could just stay there and do what they were doing before. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of wrap up this episode real quick. I'm not going to want to talk too much about the small council because we kind of already covered that,
Yeah.
other than the fact that I really did appreciate that Brienne Sir Brienne, excuse me, is writing in the Book of Brothers that we haven't seen since season 4, I believe. But she writes about Jaime and ultimately writes at the very end, died protecting his queen, which... Okay.
it was a nice-
It was
nice
a nice
story.
sentiment.
Yeah.
You know, I was still shipping hard for it, but it is what it is.
Surprised she didn't write. You suck. I hate you so much, Jamie. You were terrible to me. I should have stayed with Tormund.
One of the things that's brought up in the Small Council is the book that Archmaester Ebros writes is A Song of Ice and Fire, which, in case you guys didn't know, is what the series is called.
So
And
cheesy. What a cheesy moment.
It was a cheesy moment.
That was super corny to me.
Yeah.
But
But why isn't Tyrion mentioned in the book?
That's ridiculous. He's such a big part of the show.
Yes.
He's actually the character who's in the show the most. Like if you look back through all the episodes, he's in the show the most. He's a part of the I mean he's the hand of the king and queen like what 3 times in the
Yeah.
show?
3 times, more or less.
Like
Yeah,
I mean that's just a dumb line. I mean,
it is.
made no
It
sense.
wasn't funny and like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was
It's not.
annoying.
What else was
really
annoying
was.
is the suggestion that we need to have a Master of Whispers.
That was so
Why,
dumb.
if Bran knows everything? I do like the fact that Podrick Payne is now Sir Podrick Payne. I love it. I'm very happy for him about that. And I want to know what kind of government this is. Is it an oligarchy of, a small council that decides everything and Bran's just a figurehead? Because it doesn't seem like he's going to do a whole heck of a lot. But anyway. The montage at the very end of the Starks was really cool. We do see Arya go off on her adventure ways, and she wanted to do that. Sansa wanted to be queen as always. She got that too, and Jon returns to be amongst the free folk because he has the real North in him. And now that he's with Ghost, I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
So,
Let's
end scene of Game of Thrones.
let's see. I'm wondering like what does Frank have to say about this episode?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
Frank said it's a message he wants to share with y'all. So let's see what Frank has to say.
Flank.
Check it out.
Hey guys, I know you guys are holding it down in the studio. I apologize. I couldn't be there today. I'm battling the flu right now and doctor's orders. But I know everybody's Brittany, George, Jay. I know y'all doing a great job out there for the show. For my Let's Be Frank segment, it was hard. There was a lot of things to pick. Overall, this season has been an absolute disappointment in my opinion. I think my castmates can agree on that. The writing's been overall rushed. The lack of character development and fleshing out the character storylines throughout this season has really just gone in vain. I think today I want to talk about Bran, aka 3-Eye Raven, aka now the leader of the Six Kingdoms. I'm very disappointed in his whole character arc. In the books, it ends at book 5, and he's still with the original 3-Eye Raven in the books. In the show, they advance his storyline very quickly from season 6 on to season 8, and the last 3 seasons, we really don't know like the extent of his power. When Jojen talks about what he can do in season 3, he talks about how he's a warrior and how he can see through the eyes of other people and animals and that ability that he has. Well, We know that because that's what they said. But from the show on, from season 6 on to 8, we don't know that he has green seeing powers. You know, because Jojo was a green seer. He could see in the future. But apparently, we didn't know Bran had the same power, because now that we find out close to the end is that he knew that he was going to be king this whole time, which the story does the show doesn't really explain that he has that ability. It's assumed in the last episode, which kind of didn't make sense to me.
And that's a good point. Like,
It didn't make sense.
I never totally understood Bran. And I mean, the fact that he becomes the
Bran
king.
didn't even understand Bran.
Yeah.
He was not in an entire season of the show. That's how important he was. He was that unimportant that he was like not.
Did you see how much he grew in that season, though?
I know,
Shut
but
up.
like,
Yeah.
I think Frank has actually some more to mention
Yeah.
too.
But apparently I think they hint towards it with Jamie and Theon when right before Theon dies, that he kind of gives Theon closure that he's a good man. So I think they kind of hint towards it, but it's not explained. And then on top of that, with Bran says to somebody, I can't remember exactly who it was, but he says, I don't have the desire to want anymore. And he tells Sansa season 7 that how I'm not gonna be lord of anything. Maybe he knew deep down that he knew he wouldn't be lord of anything, but he would be king of something. But my whole rant is that they never fully explain his purpose and the full explanation of his powers throughout the show. Everything was just rushed together. Had you fleshed out the story, and you did a proverbial 10 episodes for season 7, season 8, and you had time to write that in, which they did. They just chose to shorten the season. Then it would have had sense. It would have made more sense. I just feel like that they just threw him in as king for the story, but didn't really do a good job of explaining the connection of him on the Iron Throne. There was really no connection. And then for Tyrion to say, "Oh, it should be Bran the Broken because he has a great story." What kind of explanation is that? That's lazy writing. What kind of explanation is that? Doesn't Sansa have a great story? Sansa was married twice. Was thought to be this cute girl who had aspirations of being queen one day and didn't understand the politics of Westeros. Then you have Jon. Jon was a bastard of the North. Jon was a forgotten person who couldn't have any grants, any lands, any titles. He went from that to being Lord Commander, to being King of the North, to being quote unquote heir of the Iron Throne. That's a great story. You know, even Daenerys, you know, being a young girl overwhelmed and given to the Dothraki, going from that to being the unbreaker of chains. You have all these great stories, but yet they use the excuse, "Oh, Bran has a great story because he got pushed out of a window and now he's king now." It was just lazy writing, in my opinion.
For sure.
I'm with Frank on that.
Totally
Lazy writing,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people in the Game of Thrones world of fans,
Fandom, yeah.
thank you, feel the exact same way, and it's just
We're just all disappointed. It's a
George said it right.
it's a bummer. Yeah.
He's disappointed.
I'm disappointed.
And speaking of George, what's your hot takes for this episode?
All right, hot takes for this episode go to Edmure Tully. Edmure.
Edmure,
you got it, yeah.
Edmure.
There you go.
Yep.
It goes to him. Like, I did not expect to see him up there, and we haven't seen him in quite a while.
It's been a couple seasons.
Was it season 6 probably? Or
6,
was
I
it 7?
believe.
I think it was 6 because of
In the
River Run.
6.
Yeah. So we haven't seen him since then, and then like he's like, well, who should we pick for king? And then he stands up and starts like trying to give his claim.
I'm
that
one of the
was, like,
senior lords.
That it was funny to me because I know it was never gonna happen.
Of course not.
But it was hilarious, and then just the part where Sansa tells him, "Uncle, sit down." Like,
And then she kinda
sit
eyes him
down
like-
and just shut up and don't say anything. Because
He did survive the Red Wedding.
Well,
In a way.
In a way.
It was his wedding.
It's his wedding.
It was
so
his
yeah.
wedding, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, hot take number 1 goes to Edmure for thinking that he had the
Savvy.
audacity
The savvy.
to become
Yeah.
a king.
Yeah.
So number 2 goes to Grey Worm. Like seriously, like Grey Worm, you're ride or die for Dany. You do all this stuff for her. You let Tyrion, like a prisoner, your prisoner, talk to this council, and he votes the new king in, which he knows already. They know each other. They all know each other. Like, how are they gonna know that like So Tyrion knows Bran, and then Bran asks him to be Hand of the King, and Grey Worm's gonna be like, okay, yeah, go ahead, go hang out with your
Well,
friends.
Bran does tell Grey Worm.
Yeah,
I can do
he's
this
gonna-
because I'm king.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
So
It's like Grey Worm. You let him like choose the king.
You're
Like
right.
that was all him.
Right,
And then the other thing about Jon, like Jon's punishment, like he didn't have to have a punishment. They're leaving. He could easily be like, hey,
you don't have to go anywhere.
Jon, you don't have to go. Like he left.
Bran could
Like,
have pardoned
we're good.
him.
Yeah, we're
Bran could
good.
have pardoned him.
So the second hot take goes to Grey Worm, and the last hot take honestly goes to Ghost.
Y'all.
I am just so glad we finally got a pet. I don't know if they added in there because everyone was just pissed about like the last episode where
They
they
were.
saw each other and he just left without saying goodbye.
Yeah.
But it was great. I got the pet that was promised, and
I love that, the pet that was promised.
Yeah, it was just great. So
Yeah.
I think honestly the show had a happy ending for all the Starks
Yes.
that still survived, and
Yes.
I don't know why they said it was gonna be a bittersweet ending because I was happy that Dany died. So
I was happy Cersei died for sure.
yeah,
I
but it
think
was
the bitter was just the
awful-
aftertaste. of like how bad it
that
was.
makes sense, Justin.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know.
I was very bitter.
I don't know.
That's the only thing.
Oh
May-
man.
Maybe they don't know what bittersweet means. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But well, Brittany, what are your final thoughts on this episode?
I was disappointed, like you. I mean, it was fine. I wanted more, obviously, but I think we're actually going to do a bonus basement talk or another episode talking about how we really wanted things to go, how we would have tied up
Yeah.
the loose ends.
How can we fix
How
season
can
8?
we
Because
fix it?
they needed some help.
They did.
Unfortunately, they should have consulted us before it aired, not after. That's not a bad.
Yeah.
That's a better way to do it. Is to talk to us before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But before we wrap, I have a couple of just fun facts for you guys. So this was actually the lowest rated episode in the entire series.
No surprise.
It was also
it's
the
on IMDb, right?
It
yeah.
is. It
and
was
Rotten Tomatoes too.
Oh, it was also the third episode in which David and DB Weiss have directed together.
Oh, no wonder it was awful.
Yeah.
The other two episodes were good though. They did.
The other
So
two
this
were
was-
good. The
yeah.
other two
What
was
was the other two?
Save the worst for last.
it was one from season 3 and one from season 4.
The Walk. Oh, that's the one with the.
The Walk of Punishment and then
Yeah.
the Two Swords, which is
Yeah.
actually one of my favorites. I really do feel that Jon is like the official leader of the Wildlings now, kind of like Mance Rayder, who was part of the Night's Watch and then left to go be with the Free Folk. I kind of feel that's maybe what's happening here.
Probably.
And the last thing I'm going to share with you guys is that George R.R. Martin's original pitch for a series back in '93 was that 5 primary characters were actually going to survive to the end of the series: Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, Tyrion Lannister, Arya, and Bran Stark. Now this is a little bit different from the show because Daenerys obviously died, but I just thought that was kind of a fun, interesting fact about the books to show. And then also there was a lot of Lord of the Rings kind of similarities. Again, we'll talk about that in bonus basement talk.
Never seen it.
You need to watch it.
So this story of Game of Thrones is over. There's going to be more Game of Thrones. It's going to be in our lives forever. Trust me. There's prequels and sequels and movies and all kinds of stuff. This one's over for now. But we're not done with Game of Thrones. We're going to be back next week to talk about more things, how to fix season 8. We've got some ideas about, what we think the prequels should be, what the sequels will be.
Yep.
So we're not done with Game of Thrones. So please join us next week as we continue our talk about what was the biggest show. Oh, it's still the biggest show in the world.
Still is.
I thought it was the greatest show in the world. Now I'm not so sure. But
It's not.
please join us.
You
Yeah.
recommended it to me.
I did. I'm sorry. Hey, please join us next week as we'll continue to talk about Game of Thrones. Thanks for watching.
And now our watch has ended.